Hello, this is Rod Drivstuin, President of Retractable Hose. If you're watching this video, you're probably planning an installation. Today, we're going to take you inside a real house that is being plumbed with the retractable hose system by Retractable Hose. We'll also take you inside another house and show you how we trim out the system. In the next few minutes, we're going to show you the basics. However, it's important that you read through the installation guide before installing a system for the first time. It's also your responsibility to follow all local building codes. Planning is the key to any successful installation. Think carefully about inlet locations. For example, it's always nice to have an inlet close to the kitchen and family room where vacuuming is done more often. Look for hallways or other areas that do not have high visibility. Start at the furthest corner of the floor and measure out 50 feet. Look around and see if there's a good location for an inlet. Then measure from there to the opposite corner of the house. Hose lengths come in 30, 40, 50, and even 60-foot lengths. A 50-foot hose located in the center of a floor can reach 1,800 to 2,300 square feet. When choosing valve locations, think carefully about pipe runs. The valves can be plumbed in an upward orientation where the hose is stored in an above attic or floor system, or it can be plumbed in a down orientation where the hose is stored below the valve in a crawl space or floor system. You can plumb a valve that drops down 2 stories, or if you have a strong enough power unit, you can retract the hose up 2 stories. In these situations, try and limit the number of turns as much as possible. In order to ensure there's enough pipe to store the hose, the pipe runs may need to begin by running away from the power unit. Then make a loop and head back towards the unit. It's also important to store the hose on the same plane. In other words, if you are running the pipe into a ceiling, make sure there is a long enough pipe run to store the entire hose in the ceiling. Only Retractable Hose special sweep 90s, 45s, and 22.5s can be used in the section of pipe that stores the hose. Try to space out 90s as much as possible. The hose will not retract through standard fittings.
It is very important to install a reducer in the pipe run before the first standard fitting. This prevents the possibility of the hose getting stuck in a standard fitting if it stretches when retracted. The reducer is included in the Retractable Hose roughing kit.
In an up orientation, it is much easier to pull the hose out when the valve is mounted at the height of the light switch outlets. In a down orientation, align the bottom of the valve with the height of the electrical plug outlets. This is a comfortable height to pull the hose up. Mounting the valve too high on a down orientation creates a difficult angle for the hose to retract. Insert the pipe fitting into the rough-in frame and attach the retainer band. The pipe fitting will adjust, allowing the valve to fit on any wall thickness up to 3/4 of an inch. It is important to ask the builder if the wall thickness will be any thicker than 3/4 inch. If so, see the supplement to our install guide on our website on how to plan for thick walls. Remember to use nail guards anytime your pipe will run through a stud. Any burr or excess glue glob can snag and damage the hose sock as it travels through the tubing. To prevent this, be sure to remove all burrs from the pipe ends that were cut. Carefully inspect the pipe to make sure the inside is smooth and that the pipe is round and undamaged. To prevent glue globs, make sure to always glue the pipe and not the fitting. This will push excess glue outside the pipe instead of inside the fitting. Design your pipe runs in a way that minimizes the number of turns. The more turns, the more force is needed to pull the hose out of the valve. Try and space out 90s as much as possible. Only use 22.5s and 45s when you absolutely have to. Unlike a traditional install, do not join pipe runs until you have enough pipe length to hold the hose. For example, if using a 40-foot hose, install at least 44 feet of pipe before using standard fittings or connecting to another pipe run. Make sure and use pipe straps to secure the pipe. Run the low voltage wire to each inlet just as you would with a standard vacuum install. To help you remember the length of the hose you plumb for, write the length on the back of the rough-in cover. Secure the mud plate, making sure to start the screws by hand. Before removing the mud plate, use a blade to carefully cut any sheetrock mud and paint around it. Then remove the mud plate. The door on the hose valve can open from either end depending on whether you have an up or down oriented pipe run. Connect the low voltage wire to the leads of the reed switch on the valve. Inside the valve housing is a small package of silicone. It's important to apply this silicone to the O-ring on the valve. This will help the valve slide into the pipe fitting. Align the 4 holes in the valve assembly with the holes in the frame. Secure with the 4 screws included with the trim kit, being careful to start the screws by hand. Make sure the valve is level. Be careful not to over-tighten the screws. Install the door by lining up the door and valve hinge and pressing it into place. Follow the directions from the manufacturer for installing the power unit. We will discuss in a few moments how to choose the right size power unit. You are now ready to install the hoses into each inlet. Since hose installations typically use longer hoses, we need to compensate by using larger power units. If you have enough airflow to properly run the air-driven power head, then the hose should retract without any problem. With the valve in the locked position, check the sealed pressure at the end of the hose. At the end of the hose, it's normal to be a little below the sealed pressure rating for the power unit. Now we'll test the working pressure by using a 45-degree white testing fixture, which has a 5/8 inch hole on one side of it. A measurement of 50 inches is the minimum to operate a turbine power head. The goal should be to have a power unit that will generate a working pressure in the mid-50s to mid-60s. I hope this video has been helpful. If installed correctly, whoever gets to use this system will thank you for years to come. For more information, please visit our website at www.hydahose.com.